Okay, this video is the other lesson for 7.4 in which I'm going to show you guys how to solve quadratic functions by using Desmos, which is an online graphing calculator. Okay, Desmos is the type of calculator that you use for the air test, and its purpose is for guys that don't have their own graphing calculator. You will not be allowed to use this when we take tests in class, mostly because we're not going to be testing on just how to graph, okay? Meaning how to graph using a calculator. All right, again, to solve a quadratic, what does that mean? It means to find the specific or approximated locations where a graph passes through the x-axis. We're specifically looking, where does it pass through the x-axis? For this lesson, we're going to focus on graphing, and we're only going to use something that is called Desmos. In order to graph any quadratic, it has to be in quadratic form to be solved. What does that mean? That means that the quadratic has to equal 0. So the first graph, first equation, we can solve by graphing. It's set up. The second equation, we need to set it up so that it can be solved by graphing. What does that mean? We have to move the 2x over by subtraction, move the 1 over by addition, and now it's equal to 0. Now it's in a form ready to be graphed. Same idea with number 3 here. I have x squared minus 5x, but I have to move that 12 over so that it equals 0. Now I'm going to add a fourth curve in here, a fourth quadratic in here for us to solve. And this one I'll just write it in standard notation. 2x squared minus 9x plus 8 equals 0. All right, so the first thing is I provided you guys on the guided notes with a link to Desmos. All right, if I go to that link, I'm going to get something that looks like this. This is a coordinate plane, and over on the left side is how I would enter things into Desmos. Okay, I'm going to enter the equation x squared plus 2x minus 24. So I'm going to say y equals, because I'm graphing, x caret 2. Remember, caret is that symbol that kind of looks like a TP, if you will. All right, it's shift 6 on the calculator. Now, make sure from here you move down out of the exponent, and I have plus 2x minus 24. All right. This graph appears over here on Desmos. I need to understand the concept of a solution to a quadratic is a 0, or where it crosses the x-axis. This graph crosses at -6, 0 and at 4, 0. So my solutions to this first quadratic are x equals -6 and 4. We don't write them as coordinate points. We just show those two exact locations. Okay? Let's take a look at the next one. The next one is ready to be graphed because it's in standard form. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go ahead and clear this out. And I type in y equals. Now again, that graph was x squared minus 2x plus 1. X caret 2 minus 2x plus 1. Now I notice on this graph it only passes through the x-axis right here. I know this is the location because the y value there is 0. This is only going to have one solution, and that solution is x is equal to 1. So I come back over here and I say the solution here is x equals 1. Let's graph the next one. X squared minus 5x plus 12. So I go over to my graph, x squared, y equals x squared, and minus 5x plus 12. And if you notice, it's kind of way up at the top of the screen here. So if I zoom out, I'll see the picture a little bit more clearly now. This graph does not pass through the x-axis at all. So what that tells me for a solution is there is no solution. Okay? So let's look at one more of these and see if we can figure out what's unique about this one. So I've got 2x squared, y equals 2x caret 2, all right, minus 9x plus 8. Now this definitely goes through in two exact locations. So we're going to have two answers here. But it doesn't go through at a whole number, all right, or an integer. This goes through at a decimal approximated value. It's not even exactly 1.219. It's rounded to that. Now, when this occurs, we want to take those answers and round them to the nearest tenth. So this would round to 1.2 as one of the solutions. So one of the solutions is x is equal to 1.2. All right. And the second approximated solution would be to come over here, and that would be at 3.3. Notice that 3.28, that 8 rounds that 2 up to a 3. All right. I hope this helps. Let me know if you have any other questions. Like I said, I'm not going to have you guys test on this, but it's important to know for when we get to different kinds of tests, like the air test.